What is up? Welcome to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs. Once again, I'm Kier, and this is Jason. And today we are back reviewing a new film that is now playing in theaters and also streaming on HBO Max called Those Who Wish Me Dead. And I say, without further ado, we get right into it. Let's not waste any time. Let's not play any games. Those Who Wish Me Dead. So it's really, like I said, I was just talking with Jason beforehand. It's really kind of sort of two films that kind of merge into one. So it stars Angelina Jolie, who is basically a firefighter who's working up in, I don't know, do you know where they're located? I can't remember specifically. I thought maybe California because we have so many fires here, but it doesn't seem like it's California. So, I mean, it's
I'm not
possible,
sure.
but it's,
Yellowstone, maybe?
yeah,
I'm not sure.
it's someplace that has a lot of fires for sure. Because basically her job is she works as a firefighter, and they have to like basically parachute into like remote locations to like put out blazes and put out fires and that sort of stuff. And something happens, I guess, some time back with her, where she basically kind of makes an error in terms of which way she thinks that the fires is headed, which causes some major catastrophes for her. I'm not going to go into full spoilers of that, but in a nutshell, she basically has kind of pulled back a little bit from doing the actual firefighting and is more sitting on like one of like the control towers, basically watching for fires so that she can alert the team if there's any kind of fires that that are in the area or if she sees anything. Meanwhile, so that's the first half of the story. Meanwhile, the other half of the story, it's basically just kind of starting off to get into it, and not to go into too much of spoilers, but basically, it's about this boy and his father is basically some sort of like analyst or something of that nature, or he does something with
Works
like
for the
money,
DA's office, I think. Works
something
for
of
the
that
DA's
nature.
office, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
but he does research or something of that nature.
Yeah.
So he was doing some sort of research and stumbled across something that would basically implicate a lot of like high power like players, like congressmen and that sort of stuff. And he feels like they may be like after him, which they most certainly are after him. And basically decides he needs to like leave town immediately with his son, because he's like a single father. So him and his son basically pack everything up and need to leave town immediately because they realize that the information they have, um, there might be some people after them, basically wanting to like kill them in a nutshell, because of the information that they have could pretty much ruin a very high power players' careers and that sort of stuff. So they're basically on the run, and they are in effect being chased by some people. And like I said, not going to go into too much of what that's all about. But long story short, they're basically on a run. They go visit basically his kind of like brother-in-law, who happens to be a sheriff, who they think might be able to protect him. Who's also the sheriff is also in the same town that Angelina Jolie is in, and they have some history. So long story short, they basically are being chased, and they basically are kind of their cars basically ran off the road, and basically the father hands like his son like some information and says, guard this with your life, and basically sends his son on kind of like running in order to like get away from the bad guys that are chasing them. And he ends up running into Angelina Jolie's character, who basically tries to like protect him. And that's pretty much the nutshell of the film. So it's basically, like I said, it's kind of twofold because there are fires in the film, and it's also kind of like a cat and mouse kind of chase kind of film as well. So it's got some action. It's directed by Taylor Sheridan, who also made Sicario as well as Hell or High Water. So if you know his style, it's always got like pretty decent dialogue, but it also has a lot of good action scenes as well. This one was interesting because it does have a lot of action, but there is a lot of dialogue. There is a lot of slower parts, if you will. And then there's also the whole element of fires also. So it's kind of a film that I don't want to say is all over the place, but it is definitely kind of a film where it's taking in different avenues and different directions. So it's not the easiest to describe. But in a nutshell, I liked it. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a pretty decent story. I didn't think it was quite as good as the first Sicario or Hell or High Water, in my opinion, but I thought it was a good follow up film to some of those other ones. So I did like it as opposed to like the second Sicario film. But yeah, definitely is an action film. It's gritty and it's got some pretty interesting bad guys as well as some pretty interesting characters in this that end up being kind of like the heroes that you didn't really see coming as well. So so that is kind of interesting as well. There's a couple twists and turns that happen that I didn't really expect to happen in the way that it happened. So so overall, I thought it was a good film. Like I said, I enjoyed it. It is one that I personally would revisit. But yeah, I liked it. What your thoughts, Jason?
Yeah, it was okay. I was looking forward to this one a lot because I am a big fan of Taylor Sheridan. He didn't direct Sicario, but he wrote Sicario, and
Oh
then
yeah,
he wrote and yeah, and then
yeah,
he wrote and directed Hell or High Water and Wind River, and I like all of those movies a lot.
right.
To me, this one felt a little bit generic, a little bit underdeveloped in comparison with those other ones. But not bad. I didn't dislike it. It just felt kind of, in the review we just recorded, you called the Mitchells versus the Machines serviceable, and that's kind of what I would say about this one. It was like a serviceable movie. It doesn't really, it doesn't really do anything bad, but it doesn't do anything that makes me want to like remember it all that much either. You know what I mean? It did. I read a review that described it as kind of a '90s throwback, which I actually agree with
Yeah,
in
I
a
would
lot
say
of
that.
ways.
Yeah,
Yeah, it felt in particular, basically, even before I saw it, when I read the synopsis, it sounded like Cliffhanger to me, and it feels like Cliffhanger. It's
yeah.
about
It's
these
got kind of
people.
a yeah. It is kind of cliffhanger-esque because they're like out in the kind of instead of like in like cliffs and in the snow and stuff like that, they were in like the brush and debris and fires and that sort of stuff. But it's still kind of that rural area kind of thing, and they're kind of being chased and targeted and that kind of stuff. So it does have some of that, and they're in this sense they're not necessarily looking for money; they're looking for information that the boy has or potentially may have. So it is kind of I can see some parallels to Cliffhanger in that regard, I guess. But it's far
Oh
less.
yeah, yeah.
I would say overall, even though it's an action film, I feel like it's less action than Cliffhanger, though. You know what I mean? Like I guess because there's really only essentially like two bad guys. You know what I mean? And then I did have some issues. Like I know we talked about this before. That that they were gonna have Tyler Perry in it, and like I was like,
Oh
well,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I was like, you barely even remember that he's even in the film because he's in there so little. You know what I mean? I mean, it's kind of a pivotal scene, but he's not in there for very much. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
know. It's like so I was just like, okay, well, they really could have used anybody for that scene. You know?
Yeah, yeah. It is. Yeah, it is one scene, and it's probably a couple
5
of
minutes,
minutes.
yeah, maybe that. You know what
I
I
would
mean?
think a couple of minutes probably.
Yeah, yeah,
And he's good. He's good. Like I said, I wish he would do more like serious roles. You know what I mean? He's good, but you're right. I mean, I had completely forgotten he was in it already.
right.
Um, but yeah, very cliffhanger because it's like you said, it's like people who have this kind of high risk, kind of adventurous, exciting job, and their world is kind of invaded by accident by these criminal types. You know what I mean? Who
Right.
are pursuing them, and or the River Wild is another '90s example, and also it felt in general, like in tone, it felt very Twister to me. Like the scene where they were running through they were running away from the lightning was very Twister because
Right.
it wasn't convincing at all. It wasn't realistic at all. It felt to me, but it was still entertaining. You know what I mean? Kind of like Twister.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I didn't dislike it. I thought Angelina Jolie was good. Littlefinger from Game of Thrones is always a good villain. And it's got some real good action scenes. I guess I just was expecting a little bit more, coming from the guy who made Hell or High Water, because Hell or High Water I think is an amazing, amazing movie. And that movie, I mean, like if you Hell or High Water, if you look at it just from like, if you just read the synopsis, it sounds pretty basic too, but it's elevated by the performances and by the dialogue and by the directing. Where here, you read the plot and it sounds okay, cliffhanger with firefighters, okay. But I was hoping that would be, elevated to something great also like Hell or High Water was, when it was just kind of a okay thriller. You know what I mean? Like if this wasn't somebody who I already had a lot of respect for as a writer director, I wouldn't think that it was all that special at all. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if that was his first movie, it'd be, I don't know if he would go on to make Hell or High Water or, or Wind River or anything like that. So, it was okay, but
Yeah.
I just wanted more than okay, I guess.
Okay. That's fair
So,
enough. Yeah.
yeah.
So, well, like I said, I liked it. I didn't love it either. It wasn't like, oh my God, this is amazing. So it's not gonna, well, hopefully it won't make my top 10 for this year, but yeah, I
Yeah.
highly doubt it. But I liked it for what it was, and like I said, there was enough action to at least keep me interested and entertained. Um, but I don't know. I guess when I saw I didn't watch the full trailer, but whatever I saw the clip for it or whatever, I know what I did see the trailer when I went to the theaters. I forgot. Um, I kind of assumed it was going to be more action, you know what I mean, or more bad guys or something. I don't know. For some reason, I just felt like it was going to be more than just basically two bad guys. You know what I mean? I felt like it was more of an action-packed thriller, is what I thought it was going to be. And there is enough action to keep you entertained, but a lot of it is flashbacks or dealing with fires or you know what I mean. A lot of dialogue. They threw in this like ex-girlfriend thing for some reason. I don't know why that was even in there. So there were some things that I didn't quite understand, or why they even needed to be there. But like I said, overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good for what it was. So I'd
Yeah.
watch it again. If it came on TV or something like that, I would watch it again. I wouldn't buy it, but I would watch it again. So
Cool.
yeah, cool. Anything else you want to add about Those Who Wish Me Dead?
No. And I don't get the title either now that you
Title is
mention it.
stupid. I don't like
Yeah.
the title at all. Because it's
I mean,
like
it's a good title, but I don't know if it's a
not
good
for this
title for
movie.
this
Yeah,
movie.
for this
Yeah.
movie, the title just doesn't make any sense. Those Who Wish Me Dead. It sounds more like a horror movie or something supernatural or something of that nature. You
Or
know what
like
I
a
mean?
gangster movie or something, like
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
gangster
And
movie
there's just
or
not
like
enough.
a.
Yeah, there's just not enough carnage for me to think that like I don't know if they sent like a team of like seven people after this guy, you know what I mean, or after this boy, then maybe it would feel more that way. But it's essentially like two bad guys, you know what I mean. So but
Yeah, henchmen, basically.
huh? What is
Just a
that?
couple of henchmen.
Yeah, a couple of henchmen, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So yeah. But like I said, overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was like I said, I thought it was it was decent. It had just enough action to keep me engaged. I felt like so.
All right, cool.
Cool. Anything else you want to add about Those Who Wish Me Dead?
Nope. Nope.
Well, overall grade and face you would give this one.
I give it I give it a 3 out of 5. Because it didn't light me on fire, but it was
It didn't light
all
me on
right at what it
fire.
did. Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what I mean. Oh, wow. That was unintentional.
I'll move you
So
on
3 out of 5,
fire.
which is like, yeah, I know. I don't know where that came from, but 3 out of 5, which is right, kind of like the B minus C plus kind of range for me. So like a small smile, like nothing crazy, but nothing. I didn't regret watching it, but I probably wouldn't voluntarily watch it again. So
Understood. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Cool. I'm actually going to give it the same grade, but mine's probably more close to like the B minus versus the C plus of it. So I'm actually going to give it a 3 out of 5 versus previous film we just reviewed. That was more on the kind of the C plus for me. But I just enjoy this one better. I'd watch this one before that one any day of the week. So, so yeah, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5, and I'm going to give it a smile. No teeth. So, but
Angelina gets no teeth.
Angelina gets
no teeth.
Boo, Angelina. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Boo. No, it wasn't like I said, and she's good in there. But
no, she was good. Yeah, she was good. Yeah,
she's usually good in everything, and even
yeah.
you can tell she hasn't really. I feel like she hasn't really been in anything in a while. I mean, is it just me, or has it been a little bit since you noticed her in a film?
No, I think you're right. I haven't seen her in anything in a while. I can't remember what the last thing was.
Yeah, she definitely looks like she aged a bit from the last time that I've seen her for sure. But yeah, she's still really good in there, and like I said, and overall, I enjoyed it. And it's got Shane from The Walking Dead. So
yeah, he's good. I always like seeing Shane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's always good at everything. But cool. So, well, yeah, I mean, let us know down in the comments. Have you seen it? Did you like it? Your thoughts, your takes. As always, if you like the channel, we ask that you like, subscribe, make sure you hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our updates. And we'll be back again soon with another show for you. We thank you for watching and hope you have a great day. Bye.